Look at this thing! RCA used to be one of the biggest names in electronics until they weren't. But while they were, they had a go at the video game industry. Look at this guy's proportions. Has he got his index finger in the ball? You're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be the middle two fingers like this. Go like this in the ball. What kind of animal have I made now? So this console's called the RCA Studio II. There was no Studio 1. I think they were trying to imply that this is a sequel to an actual real studio. Like you can do all the studio things on it. But I don't know what kind of studio. Maybe a TV studio because it makes your TV do things? Or a music studio? It's got sound. But it doesn't seem very studio-like. Maybe it should have been called studio adjacent. In any case, I guess the term video game wasn't that widespread at the time because they've called it a home TV programmer, an entertainment center for family fun for use with your home TV. It has 5 video programs built in with added programs available, and her head has exploded because of the sheer graphical intensity that is bowling on the RCA Studio II. Actually, I think this is the remnants of squished snail guts. There were little bits of shell stuck on here that I had to pick off when I first got it. It's nearly 50 years old, alright? It's allowed to have some battle scars. Skill, action, sound, entertainment, education. Yeah. It has sound. And I can't wait to show you what that sound is actually like. A video entertainment center that works on any brand, any size, color, or black and white TV. Well, actually, I've had more trouble getting this connected to a TV than any other console in my collection. I'm not actually sure if this thing even works or if I'm gonna have to do a repair during this video. Other programs available with plug-in pre-programmed cartridges, and that was actually a big deal. This console was almost the first console ever to have games on the cartridges available after you buy the system. But from what I read online, this thing took longer than expected getting through the FCC, so the Fairchild Channel F swooped in and grabbed that title. Ooh, we got paperwork and box mold. This thing was not kept in a cool, dry place. Space War, 2 exciting shoot 'em down games. I wonder when shoot 'em down became shoot 'em up, or if the RCA people just didn't really know at the time. TV Schoolhouse series, test your level of knowledge in maths, social sciences, literature, and other areas of interest. I gotta say, I don't find any of those to be areas of my interest, but there is an interesting thing about this TV Schoolhouse series. TV Schoolhouse 1 was actually the first commercial video game developed by a woman, which I'm kind of surprised by because female programmers have been around for way before this thing. But Joyce Weisbecker seems to have gotten that title in 1976. She was the daughter of the designer of the RCA Studio II, Joseph Weisbecker. Joyce programmed TV Schoolhouse 1 in 1976 in just 1 week. Sadly, I don't have that game, but I'm sure I'll find it online to show you. Whoa, they're clutching at straws here. 20,000 bits of memory. They're counting the memory in bits to inflate the number. 20,000 bits is 2.5 kilobytes. 18-foot console cord. That's like 5.5 meters. That's a long cord. Oh, no, we're into game spoilers. Put that away. Now this thing is very interesting. The purchase registration card. Someone actually filled this out and never sent it in. I've covered up the street address just in case Jay Phipps still lives there. But we got all this information. It was sold brand new from Radio Shack in Ohio right at the end of 1978. I'm gonna bet this was a Christmas present because the person buying it was in the 35 to 49 age bracket and it was primarily purchased for children under 18, of which there were 2 in the household. And also Jay was being a bit tight because he's in the top pay bracket and this thing was bought on clearance. This guy came out in early 1977 for $149 US. By Christmas 1977, the Atari 2600 was out and RCA decided to give it up. This was discontinued in January 1978 and all the dead stock was flogged off to Radio Shack for next to nothing. So this was one of the unsold Studio IIs that Radio Shack flogged off for $59.95 in 1978 after the system was dead. Now the console itself, what in the heck is this looking like for a video game console? We're playing 2-player telephones here or what are we doing? Let's get this thing out. There's our 1,000,000,000 cable. We've got a power cord. And the last part is the TV selector switch. Normally I wouldn't try and use these things. I'd just go straight from the cable to the TV tuner. But they did a thing with this. The power cable plugs into the switch box. Then the antenna cable, which is these screw terminals, goes to the TV. And the console also connects to the switch box. Then you connect your antenna here and you can choose between the Studio II or the TV antenna. This also functions as the on-off switch for the console. Pretty annoying since it's behind your TV. So the fact that the power goes into the switch box, then gets shoved down the RF cable, which also has your video coming out of it, means I have to use this switch box. So if you buy a Studio II without one of these, get ready to be doing some modding because it's the only way you're going to be able to use the thing. On the console, we've got our Player A and Player B controls. These do not come off the console. You just have to play on these numbers on the system the whole time. We do get a power light, which is actually a nice feature that not all 70s consoles had, and given the difficulty in tuning them in sometimes, is very annoying not to have. These consoles connect to the TV by pretending to be a really really low-powered TV station. TVs of this era just didn't have AV inputs. There wasn't a lot of home media equipment to be connected to a TV, so they were just a TV and nothing else. We also have a clear button, which I assume is a reset button, and a cartridge slot with two freaking gigantic metal spikes sticking out of it. On the back, we have Browntown. And look at this, the serial number matches the warranty card. Sometimes you'll get mismatched paperwork with consoles, but this is a matching set. Over here on the bottom of the console is our volume control. You can either have sound or not have sound. That's enough control, isn't it? And here we've got our channel select switch. This is so you can choose to output on channel 2 or 3. They give you a couple of options because if your area has a commercial TV station on one of these channels, you can use the other one. Trying to compete with a commercial station is going to get you a bad picture. Over in this corner, we've got the brightest anti-tamper sticker I've ever seen. And it'll be nice if I can get this to work without opening it so I don't have to disturb that sticker, although blowing on it shows that it's feeling its age a little and I probably won't have to damage it to get that screw out. And I guess you're going to want to see its guts anyway, right? Now, since I last tried this thing, I bought a new TV tuner off the internet, which is actually designed for cars. And so far, I've had pretty good luck tuning old things into it. The biggest issue I have is that I'm in Australia and our TVs use a different format to the US. Some of them do support tuning in other region formats, but it's generally an afterthought and they're not that great at it. I'm thinking that's probably why this isn't tuning in. Hopefully this thing will grab the channel, but first we need to connect this to here. The problem is, this is wanting 75 ohm impedance RF. I'm not going to explain what impedance is. It's quite a large topic and you can look it up if you want to, but basically the numbers need to match. However, this is 300 ohm impedance and this wants 75 ohm impedance. Luckily, this was a problem back in the day when everyone swapped over from 300 ohm impedance in the 70s to 75 ohm impedance in whenever it was. I don't know, I had it in the 90s. So you can get adapters like this. It's called a ballon. Hopefully now we can turn it on and start tuning. We have a power light and we got a beep. According to the manual, at this point we press clear and then we press number 3 on keyboard A to obtain a pattern for adjustment. Now I have to tune it in. I have the channel select switch set to 2 and according to a chart I found on the internet that should be about 65 megahertz or something, but it appears that I can't actually choose manually with this thing. That's very annoying. And of course it found nothing. So now I'm glad I bought this tool. This is a spectrum analyzer. If the console is actually outputting an RF signal, I should be able to see it by jumpering in here, connecting to the aerial. I don't have the proper adapter yet, it's coming eventually. I've already set this up to show the entire analog TV broadcast spectrum, and hopefully when I turn this on, we'll get a spike somewhere. Looks like we have, just there at 170 megahertz. That is not a frequency that the USA even uses for a TV channel, and it's a pretty low spike too. Oh, and it just jumped to a different one too. That's not very reassuring. What if I swap channels? Does it change? No. So I suspect our RF output isn't really working. Yeah, look, turning it on and off doesn't even change anything. I get a bit more noise down here somewhere, but that's it. That's okay, it just means we'll be looking at its guts first, and if you're watching this video, it probably means I've fixed this and we played it later. Just wait till you see what a powerhouse this thing is. Oh, yeah, that's 70s electronics. Over here, we've got 4 ROMs, which are 512 bytes each, all 4 total 2 kilobytes. These are where the inbuilt games and everything are stored. These 4 chips are the RAM chips. Each one is 128 bytes, with all 4 totaling half a kilobyte, and that's shared between the CPU and the graphics. These 3 chips down here are just logic gates. There's nothing special there. We've got the voltage regulator up here, which takes the 9 volt DC input and turns it into 5 volts for everything to run. And we've got a 555 timer down here whose only job is to make a beep for the sound. That feeds straight to the speaker here, that's on the other side of the board. Finally, the CPU, an RCA 1802 running at 1.78 megahertz or 0.00178 gigahertz in today's speak, and the RCA video chip known as Pixie. This could display a whopping 64 by 32 resolution, and not 1, but 2 colors, black and white. Oh, you wanted grey too? Oh, sorry. Now first up, I'm going to use my homemade everything probe to see if I can even find video in this thing at all. It's an old multimeter probe with an AV cable connected. I just connect it to my TV, hook up ground to ground, and looking at the schematic, I might just be able to pull video straight from this point here. Except there's nothing there. I should be able to see a waveform of the video signal here on this monitor, even if I don't get a picture on here, but I got nothing. So I guess first we'll check the voltage. Yeah, I was hoping that wasn't 5 volts. Low voltage would be a nice easy thing to fix. So I guess now it's proper oscilloscope time. Do we have clock? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I accidentally shorted the clock signal to the pin next to it, but it does appear that we have a good clock here now. It's pretty inconvenient that I can't have the keypads plugged in, but the keypad connector is labeled, C is common, and then I should just be able to press the number that I want. Oh, something came up. I'm playing bowling according to the manual, so what if I press bowl? I can do a thing. It's pretty impossible to tell what's happening in the game, but the fact that these peaks are up here, it makes me think that the video output is actually working, and perhaps that point just can't drive a monitor. If that's the case, we'll see that waveform drop off completely when I connect this probe now. It's gone! Okay, so this is known as a high impedance output, and that's no good for a normal TV. But the fact that I'm getting a video output on my oscilloscope means that either the RF section is broken, or I just don't have anything which can tune in an American console of this age. But given that I didn't see a good spike on my spectrum analyzer, I'm pretty much gonna say the RF output's not working. So my choices now are either to AV mod this thing so that I can use it on any of my TVs, or to fix the RF and probably still not be able to use it on any of my TVs. Now normally I like to keep my things original, but this thing's such a pain, I reckon I'm gonna AV mod this one. Reversibly though, I don't do permanent mods to any of my consoles. Although there's really not that much in the RF modulator, so maybe I'll just give that a crack first. The most likely issue is probably this chip here. This is actually just 6 transistors in one package. And measuring all of the transistors in this chip, they're all fine. On to the AV mod! Getting AV output from an RCA Studio II requires a whole 4 components. 3 resistors and a transistor. To get the signals out of the console, I'm using the end of a headphone extension cable. Then I can use a headphone to 2 RCA connectors as the AV cable. And it turns out the cable I got is so cheap and nasty, they've just wired left and right audio together, so there's not enough wires to do a proper AV mod. Well, hopefully sacrificing this thing will be what I need. Yay, it has all 3 wires. Headphone wires like this look like they shouldn't be insulated. They're so thin and you can see the copper shining through, but they're actually coated in enamel. The idea is that you just solder to the end of them and the enamel turns into smoke and gets into your lungs. Then you'll be able to solder it properly. And that's the video connection. Now the audio, this switch usually just turns the speaker off and on, but in the off position, it's actually directing the audio out of this pin here that's not connected to anything. And by the look of the schematic, I reckon this is fine just to connect straight to the TV. So now this switch switches between the TV and the internal speaker. The last connection we need is ground, and hopefully I should be able to just plug this in and it'll work now. Actually, lastly, we need the hot glue, because I don't want those wires to snap off. Actually, one lastly, I need a zip tie here so it can't pull through. And the lastly, zip ties aren't that reliable by themselves. Here we go. I even put yellow heat shrink on the AV cable so it matches now. We've still got our ridiculously long RF cable with the power switch on the other end. Ready, go! 5? It works! Except I was afraid of that. This device is called a waveform monitor. It's designed specifically for measuring analog video signals. The top of all of these peaks should be at the 1 volt mark, somewhere around here. Look, I have to adjust the entire waveform down to see them at all. I think they're up at about the 1.4 volt mark. Issues like this are a common problem when you get mods off the internet because mostly they're made by hobbyists who probably don't have the correct tools to measure their work properly, which means the only way to judge if they've done it right is to see what the picture looks like on the TV. And obviously this looks like it's working fine, but it's actually not conforming with the video standard properly. And while this monitor is an absolute champion and just eats anything that you give it, that might not be the case with every TV you plug this thing into. So for some future proofing, I want to get this thing right. Now I did notice that on the output of the transistor in the mod schematics, there was no resistor. The transistor just connects directly to the TV. Normally you would have a 75 ohm resistor there. So I've got my giant resistance decade box here, and I'm hoping that if I dial in 75 ohms, it'll come good. It's too low. So at this point, I'm going to admit that I'm not very good at analog electronics, and I'm going to throw this at my friend Alexis and see what he comes up with. 12 minutes after he saw my message, he's rewritten the mod schematic and simulated it on his computer to show that it works. He'd even noticed that the sync signal was a bit weak and had a fix for that too. The transistor's still the same, but now we're using 5 resistors and only one of them's the same value as before, but it's doing a different thing now. Let's see how this goes. Now hopefully we get a nice picture on the screen and these lines all line up. On, clear, 5, no output. Because I haven't plugged the cable in. Well, that's a very low signal. Alexis! Okay, sorry Alexis, it was my own brain fart that caused this problem. This little black band on this resistor, that's supposed to be a brown band. On a 4-band resistor like this one, the last one is just tolerance, you can ignore that for most DIY stuff. The first 2 are directly translated to numbers, with red being 2, so this is 2, 2, and the 3rd band is a multiplier. Instead of just being the number the color corresponds with, you take that number and then that's how many zeros you put there. In this case, black means 0 zeros instead of just a 0. So even though this reads like 220, which is 220 ohms, or what I actually wanted, that black band actually means there's no zeros, and this is a 22 ohm resistor. So now if I actually put a 220 ohm in here, we've got a brown line here instead of a black one. It's a little bit larger, but that doesn't matter. And hopefully when I switch it on, okay, so it turns out we both made mistakes. Although Alexis's is a little more excusable than mine, the resistor his circuit used to set the input level to the transistor was pulling the outputs of the chip down a little bit too much. And that's because the schematics online don't show the RF modulator, and that has its own internal resistance which threw off his calculations. So I've replaced that resistor with my Decade box again. I should be able to just adjust the resistance until I get the right thing. Now the sync seems to have recovered and it's huge. So we'll undo that sync boost. And it looks like if I can find a 12K resistor, 12,000 ohms, we're gonna be done with this mod. Wow, that's really loud. It's hailing a lot. I've got a 12K resistor. It's a lot smaller than the other resistors, but that's okay. It's getting even louder. Oh my God, oh, I didn't know it could get this loud. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna try and solder this on here. Wow, that's the loudest I've ever heard. They must be massive hailstones. I need to put my earmuffs on, this is crazy. Okay, it's just conventionally raining now, and I have fixed the video. I've got that resistor in. Here's a diagram so you can do it yourself. This can be the new RCA Studio II AV mod that floats around the internet that everybody does because everybody has an RCA Studio II. Sorry, Sly DC, this is the new one. And thank you, Alexis, for your help. Now it's time for some gaming like it's 1976, except it's 1977, or 1978 if you're the Phipps kids. I do have a couple of cartridge games, but first, I want to check out the inbuilt games, and we're going to start with Doodle. Doodle transforms your TV set to an electronic blackboard. Have hours of fun drawing pictures, words, or just doodling. To start doodling, we've got to press clear, then 1 on keyboard A. Here we've got our Doodle screen. See that? That's the boot screen there, right there, that pixel? That means we did it right. So basically, this is a drawing application. Think MS Paint, but really, 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 really basic. You use the outside buttons on keyboard B to move the pixel around. Look at that, it wraps around too. Ooh, and it doesn't go all the way to the top. What's our range? Alright, so I've just found the corners of the actual area that we're playing in right now. It is not a large area, and there's no way to know where the boundary is without doing what I've just done. 61, 62, 63, 64. So yeah, 64 by 32 resolution, and it's not even full screen. This is our gameplay area, just here. This one is kind of tedious so far. There's definitely hours of something going on, but I don't know if fun is it. Other than the keys to move the pixel around, 5 means you're drawing, 0 means you aren't drawing. Pressing 0 is what you use to move around to start a new line somewhere else, as well as erase. So you gotta be careful to go around your previous artwork, otherwise it'll just erase it on the way through. And yeah, the sounds. There are a couple of beeps. I'm not sure how many beeps this thing can do. This one sounds awful. And apparently that's not broken, it's just how they sound. I'm pretty much an artist, and okay, that was actually a little bit fun. For added fun, by combining the functions of doodle and pattern, you can reverse the image, make your doodle turn from a white drawing on a black background to a black drawing on a white background. Whoa, steady on. You can even start another pattern and have the Studio II print over your doodle. Ooh, watch out, we're gonna print over my doodle. So I press 2 on keyboard A, then press 6, and then press 6 on keyboard. That didn't work. Whoa, whoa, it's printing on my doodle. I don't know. It didn't do what it told me it was gonna do, and now it's printing on my doodle. Apparently I can freeze it by pressing 5. Yes, I can. Well, I didn't get to invert it to make it white on a black screen, but we got to print on my doodle. The second inbuilt game is Patterns, which we've already started playing with. And apparently doing maths in some ancient fractional form was more fun than playing patterns on the RCA Studio II. The instructions are kind of convoluted and don't actually explain what the different keys do. And now that we've done a thing, we push 0 to start the pattern. Oh, I see. So it remembers your key presses and then repeats them over and over again, essentially. After you start the thing running, it's just something that you watch for fun. I'm going to design my own Indian blanket, which means do their design and not design it myself. Press 2 14 times. Oh, this is going to take a while. I don't actually know what an Indian blanket looks like, so we're just gonna have to take their word for it, I think. Now we're getting into the real gaming. We got bowling here. Yeah, check these graphics out. We got our player/bowling ball here, and we got our 10 pins here. 5 bowls straight. Come on, strike. No, okay, so it seems it only knocks down the pins it touches directly. 2 hooks up, eventually. Here we go. Now it's the second player's turn. There's no one-player version of this. 8 hooks down. Oh, it does do some sort of figuring outy things of what gets knocked over. Look at this, I'm gonna get a spare. 15. I'm beating myself so bad. 2-player me's doing so good. 1-player me's doing terrible. Yeah, I'm gonna smash 1-player me. 2-player me's still doing good. Come on, spare again. Yeah, another 15. This doesn't make any sense. I'm trying equally hard with both sides. 2-player me, so much better at this game. 1-player me's gonna come for the comeback now. Look at this. What? Strike! 1-player me got a strike! Come on, 2-player me, you gotta hold it. Another strike! First strike, and then 2-player me just grabs one straight after. Oh, this is no good for 1-player me. That was not a good bowl. Well, clearly, 2-player me is far better at bowling on the RCA Studio II than 1-player me is. Next up, we've got freeway. Go! I can press 2 to speed up. Oh, we don't have sound now? It just starts off with sound and then the sound is gone. Can I speed up more? Or is this the game? It says I can press 8 to return to normal speed. I can't tell any difference. Oh, it makes noises when I crash. Oh, wait a minute. You use both keypads for this game. You steer with the right keypad and you accelerate and brake with the left keypad. Man, can you see the slowdown? It's flickering like mad and it's struggling with the frame rate. In the manual, there's a score in the top right, but I don't have that. I don't even know how long this game goes for or anything. I'm just playing. Oh, it comes up with a score at the end. I don't know when the end is, but I got 49 during that time. So I'm not heaps familiar with pre-Atari 2600 consoles. Maybe this is considered okay for that era. But then again, maybe not. Look at this. Scoring. Under 40, license revoked. 40 to 50, student driver. 51 to 70, blah, blah, blah. I'm a student driver because I didn't even know what the controls were to begin with. To get under 40, yeah. That is impressive. Oh, there's a harder mode. You start with 0 on keyboard A instead of B. Let's have a look at that. Go, go, go. This is hard mode now, apparently. Well, that is hard. Yep, it is. That was harder. It's not responsive enough to know whether I'm supposed to be holding 2 the whole time or just pressing it once to go fast. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yep. Maths. 1, 1, and 0 is 2. 3, 1, and 3 is 7. 1, 3, and 3 is 7. 1, 0, 1 is 2. You add the 3 numbers at the bottom together, and then you have to try and... I'm trying to talk and math at the same time. I can't. So I think the point of this is more to be facing against someone. Yeah, let's get player 2 me some scores. After 20 numbers, the game's over. You get a score. Okay, we know what this game is now. You just add up the numbers. That's it. That's the game. Probably took him an hour to program that, so why not chuck it in? Alright, so we're now moving on from maths to fun with numbers. These are very weird looking cartridges. That's just part of the circuit board in the cartridge sticking out the bottom. I was hoping to open a cartridge and show you what's in there, but they're riveted together, so that's not happening. Here's a random image I found online instead. I assume there'll be an EEPROM in the middle with the game code on it and nothing else at all. In here, we've got our huge holes for our giant metal spikes to penetrate. On the back of the cartridge, which is actually the side that faces the players, there are instructions, which is really useful because if you don't have the manual, these games are going to be hard to play. Yeah, insert those spikes. Oh, you're supposed to turn it off before you do that. We'll just clear it now. Now, I'm not actually very interested in these number games, so you probably aren't either. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. This is called Guess the Number. There's a 3-digit number that the computer's got that you don't know what it is. You got to guess it. Apparently, it gives you clues each time. I don't know how that was a clue. This is the number of turns you've got left, so you only get 20 chances. There are translation codes for the clues. I got a 1, so 1 digit was correct, but not in its proper place. I don't even remember what number I said. The idea is that you guess numbers, and you have to try and use these clues to try and figure figure out what the number is. And there's also a 2-player version. What's their next game? Reverse is an interesting, stimulating puzzle game for one person. Although others can join in by offering advice to the player. Yeah, that's annoying. It gives you all the numbers from 1 to 9 scrambled up like this. By using buttons 2 through to 9, you can choose how many of these numbers from left to right you're going to reverse. So if I press 3, it'll reverse the first 3 numbers. Or if I press 6, it'll reverse the first 6 numbers. So by reversing sections of the numbers like this, you have to try and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's actually not that hard, but you do get this counter at the bottom which starts at 30 and shows how many moves you've got left. So you can try and get a higher score by using less turns to get there. The last game I've got for this is tennis/squash. Game 1 is squash and game 2 is tennis. There are 3 difficulties in racket size form. I'm gonna go for a small racket. And I know from experience that I'm not going to choose fast because I won't be able to do it. I'll go for normal, and that might even be too fast. Yep, this is squash. It sure is. I'm bouncing a ball off a wall with a bat. And actually that wasn't too hard, so let's go for fast. Oh, that's a lot harder. Yeah, that's kind of challenging, but I reckon I could get used to it if I wanted to devote a lot of time. The other game is tennis, and you can choose individual bat sizes, which is nice. Maybe I might have a chance of not absolutely slaughtering my children. But in the end, it's just the same as squash, except for it's 2-player instead of 1-player. Why? What happened there? Whoa, what game's bugging out on me? Oh, what? I didn't say that in the instructions. What did I even push for that to happen? I swear I pressed 5 and the ball just changed direction midway across. And now it isn't. Oh, there, what? What? Is there just random rubbish? I think there's just random rubbish that happens. I reckon I just pressed the button when it happened to change direction. It just changes direction. Well, this is a new feature for Pong for me. I've not seen one that just randomly changes direction and makes it very hard. I don't entirely hate it. It definitely makes it a little bit more exciting, but it's still Pong. Wait on, we haven't tested the audio. I've had the sound coming out of the internal speaker on this as it was originally the entire time, and I haven't tried my AV audio output. Whoa, that's loud. Turn that down a bit. Hey, it sounds the same, but out of different speakers. What have I done? I've gotten the game stuck. Oh, there we go. But at least I can change the volume now. And that's it for all the games that I have for the RCA Studio II. There are some slightly more advanced games, but this thing is so underpowered. So that's all I got to show you, really. And if you are one of the Phipps kids, well, I hope this is good memories for you and not just memories of wanting to have had an Atari 2600 instead. And for everyone else, that's the RCA Studio II, the second earliest console ever to have the game inside the cartridge. Nearly before this, game consoles had all the games built in when you bought them, and if they had a cartridge, they would just switch between the internal games when you plug in a different cartridge. Doodle! Thanks for watching. If you want early ad-free access to all my videos, at least one exclusive video, and a photo of every single thing that I get from my video game collection, because I've been collecting for ages and I'm always getting new stuff, then you can follow me on Floatplane for $2.50 a month. Or if you just want to see those photos and be part of my community, you can join for $1 a month. The link's in the description. I'll see you there.